Hey guys, welcome to another episode of NetSec Now. Today we're going to show you how to set up, configure OpenVAS, which is a vulnerability scanner, open source vulnerability scanner, I might add, something equivalent to Nessus or GFI LandGuard for Windows. Um, so let's get started. In the last video we showed you how to install Kali Linux, update it, upgrade it, do a dist upgrade and all that good stuff. Today we're actually going to go through installing OpenVAS. So once you're booted up, go into your applications menu, go into Kali Linux and then vulnerability analysis. Scroll down here to OpenVAS and go to OpenVAS setup. Let me just maximize the screen here. Okay, you're going to see it's going to download some stuff from the NVT repository, to get the latest and greatest vulnerability updates. A bunch of stuff here is going to scroll past the screen. Don't worry about it. It only takes a few minutes to get started. After it downloads its necessary stuff, starts and stops some services, and restarts them, it's going to ask you to set up a password. The default username is going to be admin. That's just part of the script. If we were to set this up manually, obviously we could change that, but we're not going to go through that. I was going to write some custom scripts to do it, but quite frankly, things started going haywire with those scripts. I think some of those commands were made for older versions and it's not really working correctly. So I thought that the installation process or the installation script for OpenVAS 6 or libopenvas 6 was screwed up, but it's actually not. I think it was just me making a mistake because I wasn't familiar with how it worked. I think it was just a configuration error on my end. So I've got that all squared away now, and it is working. And I know in the last video we said that they do use a GUI desktop version, but like I said, it's kind of clunky and messy and unorganized, at least for me anyway. You can use it if you want, guys. I'm not going to show you how to do it. There's a web interface that to me is much cleaner. It looks much better. You can generate reports from it, something that I don't believe you can do in the desktop GUI version of this. So we're going to be working with that. I'm going to show you how to initially set it up and get it going, which we're doing now. Then I'm going to show you some of the options inside of the web interface. I'm going to show you how to update the vulnerability lists. I'm going to show you how to set up a scan. I'm also going to show you how to set up users in here if you wanted to have other users like looking at the results or stuff like that. So we'll get started with all that. I don't want to make this video entirely too long. It's not going to be one of my infamous 45-minute long videos because I know after a while it gets boring, and quite frankly it gets a little boring for me too. So I'm going to try to make this one as quick as possible, but as informative, straightforward, and easy to use as possible, or easy to understand I should say. You're going to see here where it says there's an error. Don't worry about that just yet. It says SQLite 3 failed to prepare the table. There's no such table, main.meta. Don't worry about it. It's fixing itself right now. It's adding that table in there. So it should just take about a minute or so for it to get to where we have to go to enter in a password to continue on with the setup. And so we'll just let that happen here. OpenVAS, I'm still pretty new to it, like I said. But it works pretty well. I did some localized scans here in my testing. It's pretty fast. I'm not sure how fast it's going to be scanning from the outside in, the outside world. I don't anticipate you're going to be doing too much of that, unless of course you're looking for vulnerabilities in a certain kind of router, or if you're scanning somebody's web server or DNS server, backup server, any kind of public-facing server. You're going to use it like that too. But realistically, this is part of the information gathering process. We're going to do a whole separate video just on information gathering. I'm going to take you step through step, how to accomplish that and how to get results, how to organize them and use them to plan your attack. So, there's a lot more videos that are going to be coming up for me on this stuff. There's some stuff that is new in Kali Linux that I'm not really familiar with, so I'm going to learn it before I try to teach it to you guys. I mean, otherwise it's like the blind leading the blind, so we're not going to do that. I want you guys to learn things the right way, and I want to know fully how it works before I even try to present that information to anybody. So if you hear me pause my microphone throughout the video, I apologize for that. I'm clearing my throat. The allergies are real bad this season, and I am definitely suffering, so I apologize for that. Anyway, moving forward in the terminal here, it says enter password. As I said, the default user is going to be admin, so we just need to make a password for this admin username. So make it a pretty secure password, guys. I mean, you're like the admin of the system. You don't want it, easily guessed or broken. So you're going to see some messages here. No rules file provided. The new user will have no restrictions. That is why it's important to create a good password, a strong password. You are the super user on this system, much like you are root inside Linux. And as I said, the username is admin. It's been successfully created, so we're good with that. So the next thing we're going to do is fire up a web browser. Now, if you have Firefox installed or Chrome installed, you can use that. I'm just going to use iSweasel. It's easier that way. And as soon as that opens up here, we're going to be using HTTPS, or the SSL protocol, to access this. First, I want to go ahead and clear out my certificate here, only because I want to show you guys start to finish how it works. Sorry, edit preferences. Advanced, view certificates. Anyway, if you were curious, this is how you clear out a certificate. I'm going to go down here, expand OpenVAS, and then I'm just going to delete this. The reason why we're going to have to go through this is a security exception here is because it's a self-signed certificate from OpenVAS. So you're going to get a warning here, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is. So it's HTTPS :// localhost or 127.0.0.1 : and then the port is 9392. Obviously, you see I have it already typed in here, so I'm not going to retype it. So once you hit that, you're going to get with Secure Connect failed. Well, that shouldn't have happened. You know what? Let me close down the browser here. Start over. So I just deleted that certificate, so perhaps that's the issue. There we go. Okay. So you won't have to delete the certificate, guys. Don't worry about that. That was my own mistake. I should have did that before I started the video. Anyway, if you did just the fresh setup of OpenVAS, this is what it's going to look like when you first navigate to the web interface. You're going to get this connection is untrusted. That's fine. Just go down to the bottom. Like I said, it's a self-signed certificate, so it's not validated by a known certificate authority or CA, like VeriSign or something like that. So just click I understand the risks. And then go down and click Add Exception. Another box will pop up, and then just click here on the bottom, Confirm Security Exception. Pretty straightforward. Now you'll be presented with a login box here. So remember, the default username is admin, and then the password you created during setup. And here we are, we're logged in. Now, as you can see, this interface it looks a little too much, but it's not. It's very simple. You got a quick start wizard person on here. I don't recommend using that. I mean, it's kind of cheating almost, and you don't really get too many options out of it. The first thing that you need to do when you get into your new system is you're going to need to update your vulnerability database. So you can go into, I believe it was in, let's see, yeah, administration, and then you're going to see it's NVT feed, SCAP feed, and CERT feed. You can update, and I imagine you would want to do this every few days when you're logging into this, if not every day, and just click synchronize with feed now. It may take a while depending on how outdated the feed is. Okay, so it's got to download it, then it's got to apply it to the database. I'm not going to do that here because it takes a while, and this is just a demonstration anyway. So anyway, if you wanted to add users, you can just go to administration, users. Now you could type in a username, like let's say you had another person working for you or with you, and you wanted to give them limited access to the report system or to be able to initiate scans. So let's just call this user Bob. We'll assign him a password of I know, real secure, right? We're going to assign him an observer role. Okay, and host access, allow, you can just leave that and just hit create user. And we don't want to remember the password because we're not logging in as Bob. Okay, so now you can see your users down here. Here's admin, host access, allow all, and we're a role of admin. Now Bob is just an observer. Okay, so the next thing you want to do to actually get into making a scan happen is you have to set up a target. Okay, so going down here into configuration, click targets. Now target's going to be your IP address, domain name, what have you. You can see already by default there's one in here, localhost, host, localhost, one IP address, and then the port list is OpenVAS default, no credentials for SSH or SMB. Don't worry about any of that. Whenever you want to create something new, when you get into that menu, there's going to be a little star button box here, and if you hover over it says new target, so click on that. Okay, so your new target, you can name it. You can name it whatever you want. I like to try to keep my naming conventions to what I'm doing. So in this instance, we're going to just use Acme Inc. for, I don't know, demonstration purposes. That would be the company we're scanning. The hosts, now here's the thing, you can do a manual IP address. So if they just had one outside IP address or one outside domain name, you can just enter it in here manually. For this, I'm just going to do one of my Windows boxes here on the network. If you had, let's say they had multiple outside static IP addresses, or if you're doing an internal audit and they have, 10, 20, 100 machines, you can actually create like a text document with all those IP addresses in it. Maybe you might even be able to do the CIDR with the /24 or whatever. And then you can upload that file by hitting browse and then choosing that option. I'm not going to do that in this demonstration. I'm just going to try to make this as quick as possible. You can do a comment here. So let's say that this was their outside, IP address, their public IP address. I would just put first WAN scan. Okay. You can put anything in there just to identify the, what the scan is going to be about. Sorry. Next is port list. So now in here, you can actually create your own port lists and stuff like that. I mean, most of these are going to cover most of what you want to do. This actually uses the back end of Nmap to perform its scans on ports and stuff like that. So, you could do like all IANA assigned TCP ports. You could do all IANA TCP and UDP, all privileged TCP, which is generally 1 through 1024, port 1 through port 1024. That's your most common service ports. Me, on the other hand, I'm a little sneaky. I like to hide my services as much as possible on way higher ports, like way, way, way higher ports, so they're not commonly scanned. All privileged TCP and UDP. So again, any ports 1 through 1024, TCP and UDP. All TCP ports, I'm assuming that's 1 through 65,535. All TCP and Nmap 5.51 top 100 UDP. Top 1000 UDPs, Nmap top 2000 TCP and top 100 UDP. It's really up to you, or OpenVAS default. You can look at these and see what they are or what they consist of, and I'll show you how to do that in a little while. For right now, I'm just going to choose the default here. You can do SSH credentials. You can set that up in the settings. I'll show you a brief summary of how to do that. Not that you're ever really going to use that per se. So you want to create target. Now, so you have your company name in there. You have your IP address or a set of IP addresses. You have your comment and your port list of what ports you want to scan. So click create target. And now you can see in your target list here you have Acme Inc. And you can edit that at any time. You can get rid of it if you wanted to. You can look at the details of it, edit it. You can clone it, or you can export it. Don't think you're ever going to do that unless, of course, you're never going to deal with that customer again. They're not on a contract with you to do scans every X amount of months. Then you could delete it if you want to. Okay, so the next step, you're going to want to go to create a task. Okay, the task is actually going to consist of doing the scan. So we want to go in, hit new task from scan management. Now, I like to keep my naming conventions the same across all types of scans that I'm doing. Okay, so this one I'm going to name Acme Ink again. Okay. Comment optional. I'm just going to do this again first when scan. Okay. Um, Now the scan config, these are also configurable and you can make your own, I believe. You can do full and fast, full fast and ultimate, full and very deep, and full and very deep ultimate. Now again, I'll show you where these configurations are. You can create your own and manage them that way, or see what these consist of. I'm just going to do full fast and ultimate because it's pretty quick, and for this tutorial that makes sense. Alerts, you can set up alerts. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. You can set up a schedule. Honestly, why would you want to schedule a scan? Just kick the scan off, walk away. Simple as that. But I guess if you wanted to, you could do that. Slave optional. Won't get into that. I'm not even really too sure what that is. Observers optional. Now you can, remember Bob's an observer. You can enter in Bob if you wanted to. I think that's how this works. Okay. See maximum, just leave all this default. Click create task. And now you can see in your tasks that the scan is in here, the status is new, and the task is made visible for Bob. Okay. So you're going to see here under total reports, there's nothing going to be here. The status is going to be new. It's waiting for you to kick the scan off. Okay. If you set a schedule, don't worry about it. It'll hit it on a schedule. It's basically creating a cron job for that, or a scheduled task. So in actions, you want to click the start, which is obviously this little green box with the arrow. Okay, so once you do that, up here, if you want to watch this live, up here, you can choose refresh every 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds. I'll choose 10 seconds, and then just hit this green refresh, what looks like a refresh button here, to apply that. So every 10 seconds, it's going to refresh and show you the status of here, and it should fill up in green all the way to 100%. So while we're waiting for that scan to actually take place, I'm going to show you some of those other configuration settings that we could have made, like a schedule and stuff like that. So in configuration, you can go to port lists. See, it's already at 16%, that scan. Configuration port lists. Okay, so this is where we chose in our scan, or setting it up, what ports to scan. If you ever wanted to check these out to see what they consist of, like all privilege TCP, all privilege TCP and UDP, so on and so forth, or even OpenVAS default, just click on the name and it should bring you up here. So you're going to see port count 4,481 ports, no UDP ports. So it's going to start, end 1 through 5, protocol TCP, 7, 9, 11, 13, and you can see in some of here there's going to be some wider ranges like 61 through 224 on it's a protocol TCP, so on and so forth. And you just scroll all the way down here. As you can see, this is quite a long list, so let's just scroll quickly here to the bottom. 65.301 to 65.301. So they don't go the whole gamut of 65.535. They just don't. I mean, generally speaking, you're not going to be that high up there. Some of my services are, but most people don't. Anyway, so scrolling all the way back up here, if you wanted to add a new one, see this like little star box up here, you would click add a new port list. You can name this just like, TCP intense or TCP whatever. And then you can make a comment here like ultra list of TCP all ports. Now if you look down here in the port ranges, this uses like the nmap syntax. T excuse me, T is going to be for TCP, and then U is going to be for UDP. Okay, so you can change this to whatever you want, but just keep that in mind. So taking the first set of numbers here, it's going to be TCP ports 1 through 5, and then comma, the next port is going to scan as 7, comma, the next port is 9. If you want to scan individual ports, like let's say you were looking specifically for port 21 and port 25 and port 80, you would do, 21, 21, comma, 25, comma, 80, so on and so forth, right, on TCP. So then ports 1 through 5, if you want to do a port range of like 1 through, you know, 20, I don't know, we'll just make up a number. You can do that. So, or you could do it from a file if you had that, you know, in a file somewhere. And then just click create port list, and that'll show up in your port list. We're not going to do it now because I mean it makes no sense. So let's go down to credentials and configuration. Now this is where we're going to set up where it asked you for, you know, SSH or SMB credentials. Again, it's the little blue box with a star in it, new credentials. When you hover over it, click that. You can name this like, you know, I don't know, SSH or something. And then you can use your login. If you had one, you can use a comment like SSH creds, and then you could type in your password here, or if you had a public or a private key, you can do that, or passphrase. Okay, I'm not going to do this, but then you would click create credential, and it would save that. So if you know when you noticed when you went into targets and you created a new target, let's just do it again here. You can choose SSH credentials, so on and so forth, SMB credentials, so on and so forth. Anyway, so let's go to scan configs. Now remember, this was when you created a task, right, up here. If you can see full and fast ultimate, full and very deep ultimate. Let's just click on full and fast just to take a look here of what it consists of. So any minute here it'll load. Okay, so you can see it's going to be AX security checks, 1 of 1. If you highlight over here, it's going to tell you the trends, dynamic, action. You can click on this and it'll pop up just this individual. It's going to give you a risk ID here of medium, CVSS 3.3, timeout default. Okay, so let's go back. Sorry guys, I have to keep pausing the microphone to clear my throat. Allergies are killing me here today. Brute force attacks, you can click on this and it'll show you here. It's going to try all these different brute force, or it's going to scan for all these types of vulnerabilities for brute forcing. Okay, and it's going to give you your risks, medium, high. Obviously, when we present the report to our clients, if anything is listed as crit or critical, those are things that we need to address like yesterday. Things that are marked high, we need to address them ASAP. Things that are marked medium, let's take a look at it, see if it's something we need to address immediately, which we should address everything immediately. And if it's low, just take a look at it. It might just be something like, hey, this server has SMB enabled. Well, no kidding, it's a Windows domain controller. I mean, let's get serious. Or even a workgroup computer. Not too much of a big deal so long as it's not accessible from the outside, right? Not a big deal. Anyway, going back, we can go down to default accounts. Let's click on that. Just to give you some examples, I just want to show you what the different ones look like here. Default password public for account public, high, and then see here is a crit. Anything with crit we want to address like yesterday. Okay, we don't want to mess around with that. That means it's highly vulnerable. But again, guys, as you can see, there's all sorts of things in here under full and fast. If we went back and looked at another one like full, fast, and ultimate, let's just take a look here. There's going to be more stuff like buffer overflows, Debian local security checks, default accounts, FTP, denial of service. Let's take a look at FTP, all the vulnerabilities for FTP, anonymous FTP checking, default timeout. There's no risk associated with that, because anonymous FTP, I mean, hopefully they're smart enough to have a password. If not, we try to log in. If they don't, well, that's a problem. Going down here, let's look Cerberus FTP server, medium. Let's go look at a critical one. Auto FTP manager FTP client directory transversal vulnerability. That's critical. That's a problem. So let's click on that one to see exactly what it says. Check for the version of Auto FTP Manager FTP Client. When was it created? August 25th of 2010. So last modified 2012. So if anybody's still running that, that's a problem. Nonetheless, you'll have the references sometimes in here, and also this may show up in your report too. You'll have the CVE reference. If you were to click on that, I'm just going to open another tab here so we're not confusing anything. The CVE was not found in a database. Okay, so you can actually probably go out to the regular CVE database or just even search this on Google. Let's go and do that quickly. And we'll just do another tab, and then we'll go Google, and let's type in, there you go. So we're going to go out to nist.gov, and let's take a look at the vulnerability here. Last revised 8/23/2010. When was the vulnerability found and released? 8/21/2010. Gives you the overview, which pretty much, I mean, it gives you more in-depth explanation of what it is. Impact, gives you the base scores, and vulnerability software and versions. So it'll give you some versions down here, FTP Manager 4.31, and vulnerability type. You can view all this stuff here. We're not going to go into that, guys. I don't want to make this video another 45-minute video. So anyway, that's as far as that goes. Going back into setting up alerts. Now, the beautiful thing about setting up an alert is you can have, let's just click on the Add New Alert. You can have the results of a scan emailed to you. So, excuse me, name the alert like mail me. You can make this for, Acme Inc. And then task run status change to done. So when it's done, we want it to always email to and from who. So we would put like, sexscan at sexnow.com or something, right? You can do a simple notice that it's done, or you can include the report or attach the report. I'd prefer to probably attach the report. Excuse me, PDF is not working in this version of the web UI. It's a known problem. The encoding is completely wrong, and I'll show you that when we look at our scan here in just a minute. You could use HTML. You can use any of these other than text if you wanted to, an XML file, whatever makes you happy, pretty much. But HTML is probably going to be your standard until they fixed PDF. I would love if they would fix PDF, but nonetheless, it's not working right now. Don't worry about any of these other things down here. Honestly, I don't really know what they mean, and I probably would never use them. But anyway, so yeah, you're pretty much, you can assign that in your task. If you noticed in the task, there was an option for that. So if you're creating a new task, again, alerts optional, and you can add the alerts. So when the scan's finished, it would email you. Let's see. The other thing we're going to look at is schedules. You can create a schedule in here, like I said, to kick off a scan. Like if you wanted to do, make that scan happen like once every, month or something like that, you can do it in here. It's basically like setting up a cron job or which is equivalent in Windows to like a scheduled task. You don't really need to do this. I mean, it's really up to you guys if you want to. Next thing we're going to look at here is report formats. In here you can see HTML. If you just click on that, it's going to tell you what it's type. Description, single HTML page, the scan. The PDF, like I said, is not working. We're going to click on it anyway, just to show you. Let's see here, PDF. And it says created May 29th, 2013. Well, we know that's not the case, but application PDF, it's not encoding right. I mean, I don't know what the problem is here and why they won't fix it, or maybe they just don't know how. I don't know. But Greenbone, they're responsible for that, so It's not OpenVAS, it's Greenbone. So you can blame them. Send them an email. I don't know. Anyway, getting back to configuration, that's really all we're going to get into. Slaves, I honestly haven't played around with that yet enough to know what it's all about. I guess you can set up so other people can scan from your system. I don't know why you would want to do that. I guess remote workers or something, or if you were on another, if this was like a server and you were on another node on the network or something. And then agents, I don't know. Agent, or maybe slaves are like additional machines to use as resources. I'm not too sure what any of that is. I got to look it up, but feel free to poke around. You can go into your administration settings, like I said, and see where all your stuff is stored. You know, like where your log files are, where your plugins directory is, so on and so forth. And what else? What else do I want to show? That's pretty much it at this point. Let's see what this says here. Advisories, SCAP or CERT database missing. Okay, so you could probably search in here for different advisories too, like we were doing when we went out on Google and searched that CVE. I believe once the SCAP database and CERT databases are updated, you can actually probably do that in here. I'll play around with that and see. But again, it might take a while to update all of that, so I'm not going to waste your time on that. You got oval definitions, asset management hosts. SCAP database is missing again. So that's pretty much it. Let's go back to our task. I'm sure our scan is done by now. Okay, so I'm going to show you basically how to read the scan. Okay, so it's for Acme Inc. Status is done. Total is one scan. The last report is May 29, 2013. Your threat level is low. If it was crit, it would be critical in here. High, same thing. Again, you can trash this. You can, do the task details to see what it all was all about. You can see we have 11 low, things found here. Just want to go back, and when you want to actually view the report, you got to click on the report date, which is in our case May 29, 2013. Now you're going to see that it's going to give you a couple of reports here. Honestly, I always do a full report. That's just the way I like to do it. You can do all filtered results if you wanted to. I mean, whatever you want, but just do a full report, guys. It's really much easier. It gives you most information anyway. Result filtering, results per page 100. You can change this, and I'm just going to leave it all as default. So anyway, like I said, PDF is not working. If you clicked PDF, I will show you what happened. And as you can see here, it's going to try to download it or open it. If you read the first part here, it says which is a PDF document, 0 bytes. 0 bytes means there's nothing in there, guys, right? So it's not working. It's not encoding correctly. And again, I read about it online. They haven't released a fix yet for whatever reason. Okay, so anyway, go down to HTML and click the download button. And you can save the file to wherever you want, or you can just open it with, Iceweasel. The good thing about the HTML too, guys, is you can edit it if you know a little bit of HTML coding. Add in your company logo or your, contact information or something. You can also do highlighting of, certain things. And then you can print out that report and give it to your customer. Obviously, you're not going to be able to send them an HTML file unless, of course, you found some sort of converter to convert from HTML to PDF. That's up to you. Maybe OpenOffice would do it. I honestly don't know. I'll have to try that out. But anyway, looking at it, you'll see the summary here. Host summary, if you click on that, it's just going to bring you down to the next line, really. It's going to tell you how many low it found, how many medium it found, how many high it found, false positives, logs, so on and so forth. General port summary here, you'll see, let's see, well, you got a NetBIOS 137, 139, it's a dead giveaway. 445. Let's see. ICMP is open. SMB client is open. I mean, not a big deal. Anyway, scrolling down, you can look at the OS version. Now, Since I mentioned that it does nmap as well, excuse me. Sorry guys, my voice really screwed up today. Since I mentioned that it uses nmap as its background, it does a very basic OS fingerprinting. Nmap alone, when you use it yourself, does a very much more accurate, I guess you could say, OS fingerprinting. So what you see, OS version Windows 5.1, domain desktop 1 is the work group, and then it says SMB server version Windows 2000 LAN manager. Well, I know it's an XP machine, so you know. Nonetheless, going down here, it's going to kind of list the same idea here, straight on down the line, and then it's going to give you a route between 192.168.2.3, which is the IP address of the Kali Linux box, and then our target host here. Let's see. Synopsis: the remote host appears to be running VMware ESX or GSX server. No kidding, that's what we're running this virtual machine on. Network time protocol server is listening on this port 123 UDP, not a big deal. Let's see, and then again it talks more about VMware stuff on here. Open port, tells you the trace route, the open TCP ports, kind of gives you a summary there. See, the remote host responded to an ICMP timestamp request. The timestamp reply is an ICMP message, which replies to a timestamp message. So it's not really a big deal here, to be honest with you. Well, it tells you that's Microsoft Windows. So here's the situation, guys. Like I said, Nmap does a much better job. It'll tell you it's like Windows XP Service Pack 2 or Service Pack 3 or Windows 2008 R2. I mean, it does a much better job. No open UDP ports, information about the scan, and then it just tells you basically what version of OpenVAS scanner it's running, version 6, NVT feed version. We'll make sure this is up to date. So 2013 522, and we go down here, scanner IP. That's the IP of this box here. Type of NVT feed is the OpenVAS NVT feed. And then so it's going to say port scanner nmap and then the port ranges, and it's going to go all through its thing here. So basically, that's pretty much it, guys. It's kind of a repeat going towards the bottom here. If you look here, it says it is possible to extract OS, domain, and SMB server information from the session setup and X response packet, which is generated during NTLM authentication. Well, obviously. And then you can see like there's other tools inside Kali Linux like MBT scan, I think is one of them, that you can enumerate, on the local subnet, all the desktop names, the work groups, domains, all that good stuff. Tells you the MAC address of the remote computer, which is good if you want to do ARP spoofing, man-in-the-middle attacks, things like that. And that's pretty much it, guys. So that's a quick overview of OpenVAS and the web UI for that. Let's see, let's see if we can log in as Bob and see exactly what kind of access Bob can have. So let's open up another tab here in 192, HTTPS. It's going to ask us to log in to Bob. Okay, so we're logged in now as Bob, which you can see up here at the top says logged in as observer Bob. Okay, he's probably not going to be able to, I would hope not, I would hope he's not able to get into any of this stuff here. Yep, here we go. Access refused. So that is an ACL list, guys. So if he goes to scan management, let's see if he can do a new task. It looks like he might be able to. Let's just try it out. Scan config, full and fast, localhost. Oh, okay, see, so he can't really do anything besides localhost. Let's see if he can actually add in a target. I don't think he's going to be able to, but let's just see. Let's see. Leave all this fine. Okay, good. So while he's presented with the menu, he can't do anything because he's just an observer. I just wanted to test to make sure that their security works fine. Create is forbidden for observer users. If he was a regular user, he might be able to do it. If he was an administrator, he definitely could do it, but we don't want anybody to be administrator but us, right? So he can't even create a scan, so that means he really can't create a tasks, but he can look at the tasks. If you see, if he can click on this, let's see if he can look at it. Yeah, see, now he can look at it and he can see what all has been done, and then he could probably go to HTML and download, and he can open it. Yeah, see, so he's an observer, guys, so it says what it means and it means what it says. He can only view reports, he can't do anything else. So that's a good thing. And that's pretty much it, guys. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Next time around, we're going to try to set up Nessus and use the community version, which you're not supposed to use to scan. You're not supposed to use it for business. You're supposed to use it for personal only. If you want to use it for business, you have to go with their commercial license, BS, which costs a ton of money. We'll set it up anyway just to show you how it works and get you familiar with it. Like I said in the other videos, if you're out there doing this and you're making big bucks doing it, don't be cheap. Spend the money. Get the other subscriptions to Nessus and Metasploit and things like that. We'll set up Metasploit next, the community version, so to speak. They have a command line version as a web version. The web version kind of sucks for community. We'll go through using things like SC Toolkit, which is Social Engineering Toolkit. We're going to go through, these are all future videos. We're going to go through ARP poisoning and man in the middle attacks. We're going to do a specific tutorial, video tutorial just on Wireshark and sniffing, and that'll tie in with our ARP spoofing and stuff like that. We're going to do a tutorial on cracking hashes for hash passwords that you can find while you're sniffing packets on Wireshark. While doing a man in the middle attack. So, there's a ton of stuff that we got to go through yet, guys. So stay tuned. And as always, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you hate it, give it a thumbs down. And, like and subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on our blog, learnnetsec.blogspot.com. That's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching.